Is okay? Connection?
Was a bit challenging, doctor, but doable.
Okay, I'm going to put up a bit high of my volume so that you can hear clearly. And this is maximum up to 900%. Okay. Um, today, 31st of October, lecture 8 to 10, we are going to talk about the same thing that we talking earlier in the last weeks, talking about the epicyclic gear. We have a couple of hours before we move to the next topics, which is on gyroscopic or effect on gyroscopics. Um, I think I'm going to change the, the slide. I'm going to use the what do you call it, the blank slide so that I can put something on the screen, yeah, or I can write something on screen. Uh, I would like also to remind you that what we have done earlier in our meeting, yeah, we are talking about the difference between what they call it, the difference between epicyclic gear. If you remember, the thing that we discussed earlier was categorizing the epicyclic gear. We finish up with the last meeting on the easy part, which is on the the simples or simple train on the epicyclic gear. So we completed, if I can put something, we captured the thing that we studied earlier last week. So this is the epicyclic gear. I'm going to write something here. I'm going to write something. I'm selecting. Okay. Okay, this is the epicyclic gear. Epicyclic gear. This one here. We completed the simple gear train. And we know that simple gear train means that we have one train on the, of course, the solution will be on tabulation method, and we have one table only one table only. Okay. And the other part is today we're going to talk about compound gear train. Gear train. And of course, we're talking about compound gear train. You have more than two train. Two train or more than two train we consider as compound gear train. We are still talking about tabulation method, but here you must have two table as I mentioned earlier. You must have two table. So if you remember the thing that we discussed earlier, we be talking about method of solution. We have two, isn't it? One will be the, I put it analytical, which is this one is relative velocity, which is not my interest to share with you at the moment, yeah, relative velocity. The other one is tabulation, and our focus is mainly to form tabulation. One to form table. Okay, so our aims now is to define gear ratio. Aims to find gear ratio. The gear ratio is n, which our n now is basically NO by n, or perhaps in other words is omega O by omega I. And to define the gear ratio here, to define the gear ratio, we have two ways, two ways, two ways. One is to to lock the gear, locking the gear, you have to give +1 and -1. On the other hand, you have to free all the gear, free all gears. And when you are freeing all the gears, you have to use plus A and plus B. So these are the things that we studied earlier. Okay, we completed the simple one. Today, we are talking about compound. So as I mentioned earlier, for compound gear train, you have two categories, isn't it? Or two type perhaps, this one type, yeah. One will be, excuse me, one will be common arm, this one common arm. The other one is independent arm, So the common arm, the common arm, what you have with the common arm, meaning that twin have only one arm, only one arm acting. This one more arm acting. Okay, so as the compound gate twin here must solve two types with the table. Remember the solution, isn't it? Except, remember, CEPT, except common. Okay, except common arm. Why? I will show you today. Okay, I'm going to talk about now common arm, compound gate twin. Okay, we move to the lecture. Yes, this one. So again, I'm going to explain to what is arm. Before that, yeah, you need to know what is arm. Otherwise, if you cannot differentiate what is arm, it's very difficult for you, isn't it? So I'm going to share with you what is arm at the moment. So arm is basically why do you cannot a minute now. This pull over menu, pull down menu, yeah, cannot it's supposed to be visible and invisible. Today only visible, so very difficult to find the file. Yeah, now visible. Okay, I'm going to log this one. Okay, so where are we just now? Where are we just now? What did the term to talk just now? What is arm? What is arm? Arm is gear or any link carry planet. Gear or any link carry planet. You need to know what is arm, then you know what is the common arm also or independent arm. Okay, so now I'm going to share with you arm. So this is the arm. So how do you know it's common arm? Look at here. We have arm number one. Arm number one. This is arm number one. This is arm number two. This is twin number one. This one twin number two. Okay. How do you use this arm? Because it carry planet. It carry planet 2 and it carry planet 1 respectively. So it means that it will L1 and L2. And if you go further to the shaft, you find that the L1 and L2 carry by a shaft, O shaft. So it simply means that if you hold this one, yeah, you hold O, so this L1 and L2 are also being held. So there's no motion or there's no rotation on L1, L2. Do you understand me on that? You understand me on that or not? So that is what is common arm. Yes or no? I don't hear anything. Yes or no?
Sorry, Doctor.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So that is common arm. So we will start with common arm. You can turn to page 57 in your book. Refer to your with books on page 57. I'm going to do this one here. Look at here. So now you go back to your book 57 here. We are going to use this one as your discussion. Okay, common arm. So what is our aims now? Look at the aims here. Look at the aims. The aim is find the. You must have aim, isn't it? So blah 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 blah. The next is give us a plan and consider common arm. Figure this one as okay. The advantage. Okay, this is okay. Now, that's a single. Okay, now find gear ratio. This is the aim. Yeah, if A2 is long, it is not A1, it is not S2, it is not S1. A2 is long, so you need to log A2. What is the gear ratio? The gear ratio will be NO by N. So in here, if you look at very careful on the gear, you find that this NO is partly for what? It's NL1 and L2. So you can put it there as okay, and L1, L2 divided by your I will be SI. Class. Okay. Now I'm going to remember we are going to selecting the members of the gear and put it in the table. So selecting members of the gear and put it in the table. Look at how I'm select the gear. Look at here. You have bit up. You look at it, yeah. You have okay L1, L2, and O is one body. Correct, non? Correct, non?
Exactly.
The next one. Okay, before that, you know that this is the common arm, so you can solve by one table, or you can also solve by two table. So why bother try this one? Because the easy part will be one table, two table. Okay, so now we are going to use this one. Only common arm can be solved by one table. The rest of the compound gateway must be with two tables. So we start with the easiest one. Okay, now we consider the whole train. We start selecting all the members of the gear, L1, L2, O. You can start anything as I mentioned earlier. So you just put L1, L2, and O. We're going to log A2, remember, because the question asked to do so. So now log A2. As you log A2, what does it mean? Your NA2 becoming 0. So there is no motion on gear number 2. So now, sorry, not gear number 2, gear analyst 2, yeah? So now we have I and S1. I and S1, one body. Okay, next you move. You have A1. Look at here. A1. Put it a bit. A1. And also, if you go here, you find that A1 is interconnected with S2. So it belongs to the what? Single gear or one body. So you put it here, S1, A1, S2, another same body. And finally, the last word of the gear, you have A2. It's a standalone gear. So you have A2 standalone gear. So that is how you select the gear and put the member in the tables. Is that clear? Yes or no?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, now. So we start with one. This is the formula. Remember, when you hold your feet, you lock the gear. The formula will be +1 and -1. Formulation, yeah. Now remember that. So give +1 notation. All +1, +1, +1, +1. Okay. Then hold L2. Okay. Why you hold L2? You can hold. Why you hold L2? Because you want to lock A2 gear. So you hold this. Let me change another color. Yeah, another color. So you hold L2. Remember, you hold this one, and you can give S2 or you can give A2, isn't it? But our aims now is to log A2, so you have to give A2. Okay, so go back here. So now you hold L2, this one also been held, and give A2 -1. So hold this one and give A2 -1. So this one, when you add up together, so becoming 0. So what does it mean? It means that this one, or it means that A2 is locked. If you give S2 here, supposingly, yeah, you give S2 here, what does it mean? You are what? You are locking or you are fixing S2. So this one becoming 0. So you have to read the question very, very careful. If the question doesn't tell you anything about fixing or locking any gear, you give +A and +B. We're going to do that one later on. Okay, now, is that clear? Yes or no? Yes or no? I want to hear from you, otherwise we cannot move.
Sorry,
Yeah.
doctor,
Okay.
does it mean that we need to lock both if it doesn't mention anything?
No. You have to read the question very careful, as I mentioned earlier. The question now asks you to log A2. So you have to ensure this one, A2 becoming 0. Isn't it? You give all +1, +1, +1. How do you want to ensure that A2 becomes 0? You have to give A2 -1. Am I correct? There is no any other way to ensure this one becoming 0. Am I correct or not?
Yes, doctor, but if it doesn't mention to lock
So if it doesn't mention locking anything, you have to free all the gear. When you are freeing all the gear, you have to give plus A and plus B. So this is the next level after this one, immediately after this one. Okay, but instead, if the question asking to log S2, for example, yeah. So now log S2, log S2. So what does it mean? You have to give this one S2 negative 1 microfarad, because you have to ensure this one becoming 0. Yes or no? You have to give, okay, this one S2, yeah. You have to give, I keep changing the color of my pen, yeah, to ensure that you really understand. You see, this one you log S2. So you have to give S2 here negative 1. So this one becoming 0. Yes or no? Then
Oh,
it
yes, doctor.
here S2 is log. So every time when you get the problem, you have to read the question very, very careful. Which gear the question asks you to log? If it doesn't mention anything, then we have go to another level after this one, immediately after this one. Okay, is that okay? Am I answering your question? No.
Yes, doctor. Thank you.
Okay, now let's focus then. The question asked to log A2. Okay, log A2. Okay, now. So you have two column which is incomplete column. This one, empty column. This one also empty column. Okay, you have two column. Remember, yeah, you have another one P, isn't it? But you have to omit P because P doesn't have, the planet doesn't have us anything. Remember that you're supposed to have another column here P. Remember, P1 and P2, isn't it? But we already concluded that the planet doesn't have us anything, so we have to omit planets in our table. No point of calculating planets suddenly. It doesn't help you out. Okay, now you have two incomplete or incomplete column. So you have to start, which one you have to start, S1 or A1, S2. This is the hint, yeah. So look at here. So as you have this one, look at what you give to this term. You give A2. So you can, A2 will be what? You go back to the figure. A2 here is a good friend of S2, isn't it? Am I correct or not? A2 connected to S2. Am I correct? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes, yeah. Okay, now, so we start S2. We start with S2. So I'm going to clear this thing. I'm going to start S2. I'm going to start with S2. I'm clicking to this one. I'm going to start S2. Look at here. I'm going to start S2. How do you do that? It's not very difficult. Look at here. You have NS2, NS2 divided by Na2, Na2 is equal to Ta2 by Ts2. And remember, these two gears always running opposite direction. You have negative sign here. You have here, yeah. This is the result. Okay. Then this is not your concern. Your concern here is to look at what is NS2. So you simplify NS2 is equal to, so it's negative Ta2 divided by Ts2 multiplied with this one by Na2. But this Na2 you give negative, so negative 1. So what do you have? Negative, negative, positive. So you have this one positive. You understand me or not? You have this one positive. Okay, I also do this one in your books. You understand me, class? Check your book, yeah? Check your books. If you don't have book, you go this one. Follow this one. So the same thing. But this one is very difficult to me to explain because limited of space, yeah? Okay, now, as you put this one, you put it as, then you check. You check this one, you can check. You can check is correct or not. Check, correct or not. Check, correct or not. How? You go back to the figure. Go back to the figure. I'm going to clean up the figure now. Okay, look at here. If I'm giving A1 is negative, then I'm putting negative as A1. Sorry, A2, yeah, A2 negative. Put it here negative. The planet will always follow because internal connection, negative. This one become positive. Correct or not? It is correct, this one positive. But remember, yeah, if you forget to put negative here, you get negative this one. That one is very, very, very wrong, yeah. So don't do a silly meeting on this one. You will be getting the same magnitude but different in direction because we are talking about vectors here. Okay, so you add up together, that bring 1 plus this one, you get the results. It's not very difficult, class. Okay, now I'm going to try another one. Okay, we have S1. This one is the challenging because from one train to another train, previously only the same train. So we have S1 and A2. This one is challenging. S1 and S2. So what you have here? S1 and S2. So look at here. You have equation 1. So I'm going to simplify the equation. So what you have here? You have NS1 and A2. So look at very carefully here. You have NS1 and NA2 is equal to, okay, is equal to, look at here, NS1. We use chain rule equation. S1 divided by the unknown denominator multiplied by the unknown numerator divided by NA2. So the bracket item, you get the bracket item correctly, so it will come back with the initial equation. How sure are you? Look at here, this one belong to train number 1. If you go back to train number 1, what you have? Train number 1 meaning that you have A1 and S1. Am I correct now? Isn't it? Because it is connected via planet. So you put it there. Put it here, and S1 and A1 and let me put another color, and A1 and A1, put another color, put it red. So you have here and A1 and S1 and A1. And look at here, go back to the figure. It is belong to A2 and S2. Put it here. A2, this one in and S2. Right? Isn't it? Valid if, put it here, valid, the equation, yeah, valid if you found that this NA1 equal to NS2. I don't put in the notes, yeah, so you have to remember this one. This will valid if you found that NS1, NA1 equal to NS2. How are you sure you want to check the validity? Check column and also check figure. Go back to the figure. Go back to the figure. Does A1 is belong to S2? Put it here. So I'm going to clear this one. A1, you follow this one, A1 and S2 basically one body, isn't it? Whatever speed for A1 is basically also the same speed for S2. Then you go back to the figure, table. A1 and S2, same column. So the equation is valid. You understand me or not? So if you found that A1 and S2 is not valid, same, yeah. So it simply means that this equation is not valid. So you have to do another chain rule equation. I will show you later on in the work example. Do you understand me at the moment here? Okay, class. Okay, now I'm going to move this one to change this one to become, as you get it correct. So you convert it, NS1 is equal to, you have TA1 by TS1 multiplied by, we have this one TA2 by TS2 multiplied by NA2. But remember, as I mentioned earlier, this one S and I is always negative. It's always negative. And this A2 is given by -1. So you have triple negative, it becoming negative. So that is why you have this one negative. Understand me or not? Understand me? Now, after that only you put it in the table. Put in the table, it will be here. Then you add up together. You add up together, will be half here. Okay. So what will be the reason? What will be the results now? The result now, what the question asks you to define just now is to define what will be the O and I, remember, on the gear ratio for the whole strain, yeah? So it's simply that this is O1 divided by I, the whole lot. So if you go back to your solution, you have as such. From table, understand me or not? So if you don't have this book, check this one. You also have this one, but this one that cannot be very difficult for me to explain because a limited space. Yeah. Any question? Any question? Class? No? Okay, no. So if you are quiet, I assume that everyone is understand. Huh? So I'm going to do the next one. Huh? So the next one, but remember this one. Supposingly, I'm putting here 1 divided by n plus, sorry, put it the number, the main equation. Then supposingly this one, yeah, I'm going to put it there. N1 L2 O divided by N A1 and S2 is equal to 1 divided 1 plus TE2 plus TS2. This one equal to N. Correct or not? If I put it here. Correct or not? Correct or not? Correct or not? It is not correct. It is not correct because remember this N is always NO by NI. This one is not NO and I, it's NO by N, this one. So it is not correct. So this is no N. Then it's correct. Without N, it is correct. If you put N, it's not correct. You understand me or not? So the ratio is correct, but not the gear ratio. Okay, it is two different things, yeah, the ratio and so the gear ratio. The gear ratio is simply this one, but the ratio is between L, L2O, and AI, A1, S2. It's not the gear ratio, it's the ratio only. The ratio of two gears. The gear ratio must be output and inputs. We are going to do another one. Now consider the whole gear. We are going to consider the whole gear as 1 minute now. 56. Okay. No, remember, I'm going to give the gears you mentioned just now, isn't it? So now, free all the gears. Free all the gears. Okay, and give a positive B rotation. Free all the gear. Doesn't matter. Now we're going to free all the gear. So as you free the gear, remember what is the equation? The equation is plus A and plus B. I don't want to write this one again, yeah. I can write this one again, but if I write, you keep writing. So it is not point. It's no point you buy the book if you keep writing and copy the same thing, isn't it? It is better for you to copy the solution when I start, solving any part of the problem, typically taken from the past exam and also past test, rather than copy back all the theory because you have it in your hand. So that is why I'm not going to write anything. I just follow whatever you have the books. So you have, if you don't have the book, then that's why I provide you another material. Okay. So you cannot blame me that I'm not provide you notes, yeah. Because I'm not going to force you to buy the book. Buying the book is one of the opportunity to get knowledge easier. Okay. I'm going to free all the gear now. So when you are seeing the free all the gear, how do you know? Because the question tell you to do so. Why? When free the gear, remember this one. Class, remember this one. When free all the gear, what is the, what do you call it? Yeah, what is the condition? What is the condition when you free the gear? Could anyone tell me? I think a couple of times they mentioned here. What is the condition? What is the condition when you want to fill a gear?
Plus A plus B.
Sorry, speak up, please.
Plus A plus B.
Sorry. What condition want to fill the gear?
Plus A plus B.
Two speed
In or
must known or calculate or given. Two speed. Why we are going to solve by simultaneous equation. Remember that. When we fill the gear, must two speed must be given. Otherwise, cannot solve it. Okay, now I'm going to, of course, this one we don't have motive, only to give you idea how to generate the equation. So let's assume that you are already selecting all the gears, the L1, L2, so on and so forth. So give all gear positive A, positive A, positive A, positive A, positive A. Look at it very careful. Hold arm L2. Can we hold arm L1? Yes. So it doesn't matter. You can hold L1, you can hold L2. Because one is a common arm. Hold arm L2. You give A2. You have the choice here. The choice is you can give A2 or perhaps you can give S2. Okay, you can give A2 or you can give S2 plus B. Who decide? You have to decide this one. You have to decide this one. Okay, you have to decide that one. No one will ask you to do so. Yeah, you have to decide this one. So of course, when you give A2 a positive B, or you give S2 positive, you'll be getting different equation or expression, but you'll be getting inshallah the same results. At the end of the day, you're getting the same results. Okay, now let's focus on this one. So whole arm L2, you give A2 plus B rotation. Okay, whole arm, this one already held stationary. You give A2 positive B, this one given, and you add up together, you'll be getting this one, A plus B. You add up together, you'll be getting this one. That one is not a big deal. So the challenging part will be this one. You have this column, you have another column. As I mentioned earlier, the easiest way to start with when you have column, many column up later on, you start with this one. You give A2, you start with S2. You give S2, you start with S2. You give A1, you start S1. Because this one belong to same train. And the equation or the expression is easier. So what you have is NS1 by NS2 by NA2, yeah, is equal to TA2 by TS2 negative. We have already proved this one negative, right? So we simplify because this column only tells us to get NS2. So this NS2 is equal to this by TA2 divided by TS2, put it in bracket negative, bring this one up, this one becoming NA. But remember, this one is given by positive B. Okay, if you simplify this one, you'll be getting what? Negative TA2 by TS2 plus B. So that will put it there. Then you can always check negative. You can always check the negative. Any question? Okay, how do you check? You go back to the figure. You go back to the figure. What you give is what? You give A2 positive. So give A2 positive. Go back to the figure. Go back to figure. A2 positive. Look at here. A2 positive. This one positive. This one be positive. This one be negative, isn't it? So you go back to the equation. It is negative, correct or not? It is negative, correct or not? You see, this one is a negative, and it is correct. Okay. You add up together, you'll be getting as such. So this one is more challenging because you have NS1. This one is NS1 by NA2. This one is NA2 is equal to Again, this is belong to the chain rule equation. Chain rule. How is it? You have NS1 divided by the unknown multiplied by the unknown numerator divided by Na2. Isn't it? So you check it. You found that this NS1 is belong to Na1, Na2 is belong to NS2. Then valid if, as I mentioned earlier, if these two gear Na1 and S2 is equal to Na1. How do you check whether it's valid or not? Look at the column. This one A1 S2, isn't it? And it is correct. A1 S2. Go back to the figure again. A1 and S2 is belong to the same gear, and it is correct. If you cancel off the two parameter, you'll be getting the same result, but no point of cancelling this two gear. Yeah, what you need now is to change this one to become some other form, which is NS1 is equal to, remember this one is TA1 by TS1, and yet we have negative multiplied by this one. You have TA2 by TS2, also negative. You bring this one up, NA, but this one is positive. Okay, and finally you be getting S, this one. You add up, you be getting this one. You found that the equation is quite messy because you don't have numerical or numbers. Yeah, later on when you have numbers, inshallah, it's very easy. Any equation, if you can't catch my notes, you have this one. Yeah, all in my notes. And finally, you'll be getting what? I'm going to look for n, isn't it? So n is O divided by I. So these two columns over each other, isn't it? So finally, you'll be getting as such. Okay. Is that clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I'm going to move to the next one. I'm not going to do this equation. Yeah, I'm going to move the theoretical part now. I'm going to move. The next one is the compound gate linear. Independent arm. Independent arm. Let's start with the easiest one. So let me explain a bit about independent arm. So for independent arm, you have two types, isn't it? Remember? Isn't it? You have two types. Am I correct now? You have virtual and actual, or vice versa. Yeah? You have this one, virtual and virtual. Correct. How do you know virtual? How do you know actual? Okay, now actual is the given, shaft or link or body, the given one. And virtual arm, how do you know virtual arm? You have two things. One be any in external gear. What is a gear? Is basically analyst, acting as an arm to the next twin. How is it? I will explain later on, yeah? Or perhaps it is not the external gear and also any internal gear. What is the internal gear? Is as sun. Also same thing, acting as an arm to the next twin. You get this one? This is not in your notes, yeah? You get this one at class? Yes or no?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, now I'm going to show you what is the meaning of external gear or internal gear, acting as a noun for the next twin. Go back here. Okay, look at here very careful. This one is the external arm. This one is the actual arm. Sorry, this one is the actual arm. Actual. Why actual? Because it's shaft and also link or body holding planet given, the given one. This is L1. We put it as S1, L1. But the next one we don't know, isn't it? Twin number one, okay, twin number one, L1. Twin number two, we do not know where is the L2. But you know this P2. But P2 is carried by A1. So obviously, A1 is also L. You understand me? Or you can put it there. A1 is equal to L2. It belongs same body. Okay? So this is the actual, sorry, this is the virtual arm. This one is virtual arm. Virtual arm for what? Virtual arm for twin 2. And we call it as L. You understand me or not? Okay? The virtual arm. It is internal gear or external gear? External gear. It is external gear. External gear. How do you find the internal gear? We go back to another example. Internal gear. Look at another example. Another example belong to another explicit here. This one, look at here. Look at here. Okay, you cut into two parts. You make it a bit bigger. Then we cleaning up this one. Two part. Okay, this one is twin 2, twin 1. Twin 2 S2 correct. A2 correct. This one is P2. Look at this one. A1 correct. S1 correct. This one is P1. So this one will be L1. Why? Because it is carried by A2. So basically, L1 is A2. See, A2 is the external gear. A2 is the external gear. And you go back to the next one. This one be P2 will be L2. L2 is carried by S1. So your L2 is S1. This one for twin number 1, twin number 2. And this book called what? Called what? Virtual arm. This one is the internal gear. This one is the external gear, acting as a noun for the next twin. Understand me or not? Yes or no? Speak up, class.
Yes, doctor.
Okay, now then only we move to the solution. No solution theory, yeah. You move to page what? Page. I think later page. I'm going to move on. This we start with thinking about completing the theory first. Yeah. Turn to page 54. Turn to page 54. 56, 54. This one. Do you have video? The screen and also notes video.
Yes, doctor.
Okay, now, yeah? Okay, now. So what does the question ask us now? You have to read the question. Calculate the gear ratio of the episode gear when A2 is locked. So what does it mean? And A2 becoming 0. What you need to know is N. What is N is of course NO by NI. What is NO and I? Look at here. O is belong to this one. Sorry, it's not correct. P1 will be not included as PO, yeah? O is belong to this 2, 1. So it is basically L1 divided by I. Where is I? I is Ni, sorry, S1, S2, and I. So you look at this one. Yep, sorry. Astaghfirullahalazim. Let me change color so you can see the difference. So this is your aim. So that is your NS1, S2. Understand me or not? So that is your aims now to define what be the gear ratio for both O and also I. How do you start is to start table 1 and table 2. Okay, now the problem now, which train we should start with, isn't it? Which train which train we should start with? So any idea? So this is what you have to ask. You have to ask yourself, yeah, while doing or solving the problem. So which train you should start first? Any idea? Anyone? I think I mentioned last meeting. Yeah, which train? Which train?
The with actual arm.
Yes, start with actual arm. So you go back to the figure. You go back. Okay, I'm going to go back to the figure. So I will check on the actual arm. So this is the actual arm, isn't it? So this is the actual arm. So I'm going to cut into two parts. So I'm going to focus on train number 1 only for my table 1. Understand me or not? But a condition. We have the condition. Diction is what? Must lock any gear. Any gear.
So
Who
Doctor,
decide?
any gear within gear train 1 or any gear train?
Sorry?
Can we choose gear train 1, right? For table
Yeah.
1.
Yes.
So to lock any gear, which is we can choose gear 1, gear in gear 1 or gear 1 in gear train 1 or 2. And choose either.
Okay. First is we already know that we're going to use train number 1 to be your table number 1. So then the condition will be you have to lock gear. Which gear? You have to lock A1 or S1. You have to decide you want to lock A1 or S1. Doesn't matter. This equation, this problem is what? The whole train. This one for whole train. Understand me or not? But now you're only focusing on train number 1 only. You are not answering the question yet. Okay, this is the procedure of answering the equation. So now you decide you have to log A1 or you can also log S1. Who decide you have to decide? Okay, then only this one, yeah. Then only the second one. I'm going to talk and the next one, second one. So now, if supposingly now you are going to log A1, so you have another table. If you log S1, you have another table. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm going to show you only one. Now log A1. Okay, look at here. Table number 1, train number 1, only log A1. Can we log S1? Yes. This one alternative. Where will be the result? There is no in your book because I can't do every possibility of locking any other gear. Yeah. So log A1. So I'm going to log A1 now. Okay. As I'm locking A1, remember this one you have to ensure that NA1 equal to 0. Okay, then you go back to the figure. You start what? Selecting the members of train number 1. So I'm going to select the members of train number 1. I'm going to clean up this one. Then I'm going to, this one focus on this one only. So you will have O1 and O. Put it in table. O1, L1, and O. You go back again. What do you have? You have A1. A1 is A1. Okay, put it in the table. You have A1. A1 here, correct. A1, correct. Go to the next one. You have S1. As you cut this one, you know that this one I is also part of this shaft. So I. So you have S1 and I. S1 and I. Where does P? We have to omit the P because P doesn't have us anything, isn't it? So these are all the component of the member for train number 1. Understand or not how to select the members of train number 1 class? No? Okay, so I always make assumption, yeah. So if you quiet, meaning that you understand, huh? Okay, now operation as usual, yeah. When you log, you have to give the whole gear for train number 1 +1 -1 +1 +1 +1. Correct. Then whole L. Remember, we are focusing train number 1. You whole L1. I put it here 0, yeah, because 0 in O and L1 is part of a body. Okay, so you put it L1 and give A1. Why give A1? Because I log A1, so whole becomes 0. Give -1. So this one correct. This one is 0. Why? Because log A1. Okay, then this is your problem now. What is your problem now? One column, which is NS1 and NA1. You have NS1 by NA1 equal to TA1 by TS1. This one is negative, remember? Then you simplify. It is NS1 is equal to, this one is TA1 by TS1 negative. This one is NA1, and yet NA1 you give 1, you give -1. Put it there negative. Then you will have negative, negative, positive. So this will be the results. You add up together, you will have this one. Okay. Then you get what? You get this. You get the conclusion. The conclusion is basically the thing that you have done. What is that? That is from the column here and this one, which is you put it NL1 by NS1 is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus TA1 by TS1. You can also put here as N, but remember this N only for train number 1. Why? Because this one is equal to NO by NI. But remember, this one is only for train number 1. I put it in your notes, yeah? Here, this one. When A1 for, put it here for train 1 only. Okay, now consider the whole train. Considering the whole train, you have two possibility. Remember this one. Considering the whole train, you have two possibility. One possibility is what? Log gear. The equation asks you to log A. Okay, here is log A. You can also free all the gear. Free all gears. But when you free all the gear, remember, two speed must known. Here you don't have choice. Must log gear. Which gear? A or A1 or S1. Okay, this one you have choices. This one you don't have choice. Is that clear? Okay, now this one is the beauty thing, yeah. So what is that? What is the whole train? Look at here. Put it here. What is the whole train? Put it in your notes, yeah. Whole train. Whole train. What does it mean? Meaning that what? Train 1 and train 2. Train 1 and 2. Whole train, yeah. Train 1 and train 2. Okay, whole train and train 1 and train 2. For the table now, so the table is the extension of table 1. Is the extension of table 1. Remember that is the extension of table 1. Okay, so now what is the extension? Look at here. This is how you select the gear train. Yeah, I'm going to open up another file because quite messy. Yeah, this the so that you can easily uh, page 55. Page 55. Okay, now page 55. I'm going to look at the figure. I need the figure. So this one is to select. Look at here. How do you select what is the extension? Okay, class. What you have is I'm going to clean up here. This one, the top part of the table number 1 is, look at here, isn't it? Arm L10. Put it. You copy back. This one is same. Then you go back to this one. You have what? As I mentioned earlier, the extension A1. You put it here A1. Put it here also A1. But as you go to the figure, as you go to the figure, look at the A1. What is the A1 now? First, this one for the whole train, yeah. First, this one and this one, correct? Then this one, isn't it? A1. But as you look at A1 very careful, look at A1 very careful. A1 is carrying P2. This one is L1. So A1 is L1. That is why you have A1. I'm sorry. This one is L2. Sorry, yeah. L2. This one L2 because train number 2. So A1 and L2. Put it there. Look at here. A1, L2. So next one. What is the next column? Is S1 and I. Okay, go to S. Put it there. S1I. Correct. But you have to go back to the figure because the extension. Okay, S1. Correct. Also part of S2, also part of I. Isn't it? So you will have S1, S2, and I. So that is the meaning of extension. You have to read or you have to select every members of the gear from train 1 to train 2 or otherwise train 2. The next one will be what you have. You don't have this one because this A2 is belong to train number 2. But if you go back to the figure, look at here, you move along, you have only one here, A1. So A2. So you have put it here A. So that is the meaning of the extension from table 1. You copy back from the table number 1, then you extend following the train 1, train 2, sometimes train 2 to train 1. Is that clear? Okay. After you collecting or selecting the gear, then you start what? Start looking for equation. For example, yeah. For example, give all gear positive 1, positive 1, positive 1, positive 1, positive 1. Then hold L2. You already hold L1 just now, isn't it? So you have to hold the next arm, which is L2. If you start with hold L2 here, you start with hold L1. Doesn't matter which to which, yeah? You have to hold the first train, then you hold the next train. So now you hold L2. Holding L2, this one, L2, this one becoming 0. Then you give A2 -1. Then it become what? 0. It simply means that you meet the condition to log A2 because now n A2 is equal to 0. What happens if you free the gear? Later on, after this one, I will show you how if you free the gear. Okay, now come back here. So you have two columns to fit in now, this one and this one. Look at what you give to the system. You give the system is A2, isn't it? This one A2. So find the friend of A2. A2 is always start with S2. S2. Then you will have NS2 divided by NA2 is equal to negative TA2 divided by TS2. Okay. Then you start simplifying this one. So what you have is NS2 equal to negative TA2 divided by TS2. Alright? Then you have Na2. But remember, Na2 you give negative, put it negative. So negative become positive, and this is correct. Okay, so this is the most challenging thing. This one. This is the most challenging. This one is the most challenging thing. Okay, this one you can ignore, yeah. This you don't have to remember this one. You can already done this one. This one done in our first part. What you have to do is remember this one. This is the most important thing. Okay. In the exam, this one you can ignore. Already proof this one. Already proven. Already proven. Okay, I'm going to look at another equation, yeah. Okay, please focus this one, yeah. Now I'm going to have an L1. And L1, put it there. And L1 divided by 1 and A2. Put it there. And L1 and A2. This one is chain rule. But the chain rule is not using the equation, but using the principle. Chain rule by principle is equal to what do we have? NL1 divided by the unknown, multiply by the unknown divided by NA2. Isn't it? That's what we did earlier just now. But now this time around, what you have is A2 is a good friend of NS2, is correct? But this one, you cannot put NL2, do not put this one NL2. No, it is not correct. It is not correct, yeah? It is not correct. Remember that, it is not correct. So this one, put it there, this one, put in your notes, taken from table 1. From where? Taken from where? Taken from where?
Table 1.
Table 1. You go back to table number 1. Go back to table number 1. What do you have? Table number 1. You have this one. NL1 by NS1. So you put it here. NL1 by NS1. NL1 by NS1. Valid if NS1 equal to NS. Isn't it? You can cancel off. So you'll bring back to the initial equation. What you need equation now, isn't it? But no point of canceling this one. Just check whether correct or not. How do you check? Go back to figure. How do you check? On table. Check on in table. So go in table first. Table first is correct because belong to a same column, meaning that whatever speed S, NS1, NS2 will run with the same speed. You go back to the figure. Go back to the figure. Look at this one. If I can clean up this one. Look at here. This NS1 also part of NS2, part of I. Oh. Again, NS1, part of NS2, part of I. Correct or not? So valid. Then you can what? Proceed. Then proceed. When you know that equation valid, then you can proceed. Now, supposingly now, this is not your note, yeah. Now, if NS1 is NS1. Listen up, class. If NS1 suddenly is not equal to NS2, what are you going to do? Tell me. Anyone? Tan?
Chain rule again.
Yes, Tan.
Maybe using chain rule again.
Sorry?
Maybe using chain rule again.
No. Okay, listen up. You're very careful. Yeah, this is the hint. You always face this kind of problem. Yeah. Now, if NS1 is not equal to NS2, so the first term is belong to where just now? This one belong to where? Belong to where?
Chain 1.
Table 1. So you go back to table number 1. You go back to table number 1. So instead of give 1, you have to give S1. You understand me or not? Remember just now you have two choices, isn't it? Remember just now you have two choices, isn't it? So don't panic. You know that from the equation. The only equation that wrong is from the table number 1. So you go back to table number 1. So you change from A1, give A1, you give S1. You have another expression. Is that clear? Yes or no? Okay, yeah, so that is the hint. If you get NS1 is not NS2. This one is very fortunate that NS1 is NS2. So what you have to do next is just just do the convert it to become, or perhaps change it to become number of states. For example, yeah, this one NL1 is equal to this one. This one, whatever you have from the earlier. You don't put TS1 and TS1 and TL1. No, you take from table number 1. You go back to table number 1. You take the whole lot. Take the whole lot here. It is 1 by 1 plus T81. So you have 1 divided by 1 plus TA1 by TS1 multiplied by, then you have TA2, TS2. This one, don't forget negative. This one is Na2, again negative. So you be getting, inshallah, as this one. In your notes, yeah. So then you put in the table, this one, and you add up together. That will bring you to the last conclusion of your results. And of course, it is not end up to that. What you need now is to get the gain ratio. So the gain ratio is basically coming from this one, O, and also I. So you have this one, the whole lot divided by this one. If you go back to your books, yeah, you found that the result of the calculation will be on equation 136. Of course, it looks so messy because you don't have the numericals here. Any question? Any question? Now, if there is no question,
Doctor,
yes.
Can you repeat just now that how what if the NS1 is not equal to NS2?
Who's on the line? Tan, isn't it?
No, Lin.
Lin. Okay. Listen up very carefully, yeah. Listen up very carefully, yeah. And I have to this one. Would you feel this one so many times when you do these problems, yeah? Listen up very, very careful. So this one is valid because NS1 equal to NS2, isn't it? So that this one is valid. Supposingly you found that NS1 is not equal to NS2, and you know that this equation is not valid, so you cannot proceed. As you proceed, it's definitely wrong. So what you can do now, what you can do now, so the equation is not valid, so the equation is not valid. It's not valid. So if you look at very carefully, yeah, this one is belong to train number 1, isn't it? This one is train number 1. So you have to go back to train number 1. Okay, you go back to train number 1. Why you say this one is wrong? Because this one is correct. How do you know correct? Because this one is also correct. This one, isn't it? This is correct. The only thing that is wrong is the first term of the equation. So you go back to the train number 1. Table number 1. Go back to table number 1. Now look at it. When you are at table number 1, you already give the A1 just now, you get the result, and the result doesn't help you. You change this one. Change this one. Now give here S1 positive -1. Or simply mean that you are not locking A1, but you lock what? You lock what? S1. Do you get what I mean? Of course, you'll be getting some other expression that we will have, inshallah, in solving the problem. Remember, yeah, tree number 1 is called supporting table, as I mentioned earlier, isn't it?
So we will directly ignore the S1. I know. Okay, I understand.
So what I'm trying to say is if ns1 is not equal to, so you know that you have no choices. What you need now is you log s1 or you log a1, isn't it? You log a1 or you log s1, correct? You log a1 doesn't have you, so you have to log s1. That is the conclusion. You get me or not?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, so don't panic, don't panic, okay? Okay, the next thing will be you let the gear running freely. Every gear will running freely. So I'm not going to this one. I'm not going to do this one because it is exactly the same. Yeah. The only difference now you have what? Excuse me. The only difference now, instead of multiplying by -1, you multiply by positive. Okay. I hope you can do this one on your own. Yeah. Don't do on your own. I'm not going to do this one. I'm going to solve the problem because I need you to understand to use the equation. It's not to generate the equation. You already generating the equation. Now this is the time to use the equation. Okay. Okay. I'm going to share with you a bit on page 59, the easiest part. As time goes by, when you face problem, then you can talk to me. 59. This is one of the example, the common arm. I put it there as common arm. So you know that, of course, in the exam, a test will not tell you whether it's common arm or not. Yeah. Okay. Now, when you know that it's common arm, so you need only one table. Only one table. Okay. Look, I'm not going to solve this one in detail. I'm going to help you out on defining the results only, or the solution, not on the numbers. Yeah. Okay. What you have is the epicyclic gear, of course. If the input shaft is rotating with 2,100, so now it's running with 2,100, and A2 is log. They're asking that this one is log, so obviously this N2 equal to 0. Who tells to do so? This is the equation tells to do so. You have to follow the equation. Determine the speed and direction of the output shaft. So what be the NO here? NO is equal to what? Given blah 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 blah. Remember, when they provide you P, you have to use the equation of what? Remember, TA equal to TS plus 2TP. Remember this one. Okay, so we're going to do now. Okay, this one is no big deal. I think everyone knows how to get this one. This one is very, very important when TP is given. Otherwise, you don't have to do that one. Yeah. They asking you to what? To lock the gear A2. Lock the gear, isn't it? And now, locking the gear. So you have so many methods. If you read the equation very careful, you have 3 different methods. And I keep talking about, and I keep mentioning about, in epicyclic gear, it depending on how good you are to solve the problem. There will be no absolute solution. Of course, you're using method 1, 2, and 3, you'll be getting the same result at the end of the day, or the same answer. So now, the method 1, table 1, train 1, and 2, log gear A2, as mentioned. This one as mentioned. Okay, so now, I'm going to use this one, 59. So I need to see the figure. So that's why I put that to 59. Yeah, 59. Yeah, this one. I want to see the figure. Okay, first, what you take the whole train 1 and train 2. Log A2. Why you log A2? Because the question asks you to do so. Okay, whole L2. Log L2, whole L2. Log A1, whole L1. Okay, now, this one, look at here. Members of the gear, put it here. This one, L1, L2, I belong the same members. Then you go next one, A1, S2. You go back here, A1, and you find out that A1 will be part of internal gear for train number 2. It belongs to the same body, so it will be belong to the same column. Same column mean the same body, yeah. S1 and O. You go back here, S1. Oh, sorry. S1, S1, S1 here, and also a part of O because the O now carry S1. So we have another column. And A2, you find out the A2 will be standalone gear, isn't it? So only A2. You will not connect it. The A2 is not connected to any part of the gear. So A2 is A2. So A2 will be A2. So that is how to categorize the same member of gears of the epicyclic gear. Then you start thinking of, because you're locking A2 just now, give the whole train +1, +1, +1, and +1. Okay, now whole L2, whole L2, correct. Then give gear A2 -1, give it to -1, correct. Why? Because you want to ensure this one 0, because you log A. Why? Because the equation asks you to do so. Okay, now, so this what you have is A2. A2, you have A2, remember this one, A2. Look at the friend of A2 is S2. Then start doing S2. This one is S2, isn't it? This one you have NS2 divided by A2, and A2 equal to negative dA2 ds2. We have this one, remember this one, yeah? You have the solution here. And finally, you have this one. And put all the numbers as given, then you will have this one. You have 2, +2, 1 + 2. You don't need calculator, you get 3. When you have a numerical, it's easy, yeah? When you don't have a numerical, just now quite messy, huh? Okay, now you have NS1 and A2. Okay, NS1, A2. Look at here, this one is what we did earlier just now. Is it NS1 and S1 divided by NA2, correct? Is equal to, start with this one, NS1, unknown, multiply by unknown, and NA2 is a good form as NS2. This one is NA1. Then check the validity. The validity seems that NA1 must be equal to NS2. This one. Okay. Then you convert it to become, give the number of this one, converting to become number of teeth, and finally you be getting this one. Isn't it? -4. You put it in -4. Put it -4, -4 and 1, 3. Very simple. Okay, very, very simple. Huh? So now, what is that question asked us? The question asked us to define what just now? To define what is the determine the speed of shaft O. Okay, you go back here. Go back here. I'm going to clean up this one. I'm going to use the tables to help me answering the question now. How is it? It's not very difficult. So you start, because they provide you, what does they provide you? They provide you also numbers as NI is running with the speed of 2,100. Yeah. So you NI is running 2,100. Put it another 2,100. So you have NO by NI is equal to NO by NI is equal to what? O is 3, -3. I is 1, isn't it? The equation asks you to define NO. So NO is equal to -3 by 1 by NI. And yet NI is 2001. So you'll be getting here RPM, of course. It's not very difficult, isn't it? You have the results in here. So this one. Okay. So, but the problem now in the exam, yeah, listen up very careful, class. The problem now in the exam, yeah, they will not asking you only one gear to be locked. That is the challenging. Sometimes What does it mean then? Okay, now log determine the direction of output, isn't it? Now log A2. So now if let the question say if gear, for example, yeah, gear A1 is long, this typically in the test and exam, find or calculate what be NO. So what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? You have to build. You have to build BUILT, another table. Still table number 2,
Can I
but
ask?
now what? Log A1. Okay, and the question doesn't stop there. It will now, okay, if gear A1 dot gear S1, gear A2, so many tables are going to construct. To avoid constructing so many tables, we are using this one, independent method. This one is to avoid one. This one is to avoid construct so many tables. Yeah. This one, yeah, to avoid construct so many tables. But remember, to speed mask, no, this the key of let the gear running. Do you understand me or not? So from today onward, I would like to suggest to you, it is very wise for you to what? To think over to use this one. The reason is why the question is keep asking you if gear S1, gear F2, or gear A1 or gear 2 to be locked. So that is the difficult. So because you have keep constructing table number 2, table number 2, table number 2 when A1 lock, table number 2 when A2 lock, table number 2 when S1 lock. You know what I mean. You get what I mean, class? Yes or no? Why everyone quiet? Thank you, Ko. Okay, so to avoid this one, apply this one. Practicing to use this one. It is not very difficult. Look at it very careful. Yeah, look at it very careful. So give all gear positive, A positive, A positive, A positive. The way you collecting or selecting the number of T is exactly the same. So you're collecting gear that give all gear positive, A positive, A positive, A. Then you hold L2. Can you hold can you hold L1? Yes. Can you hold? Oh yes, because it belongs to the same arm. So hold L2 and give A2. Can we hold L1 and give 1? Yes. Because it's so independent now, yeah. So when you hold L2, this one becoming 0, and you give A2 positive B, and this one you will have opportunity or perhaps a problem to solve on A1 and on the other hand is S1. Okay, so now how to start? Look at here. You give to the system A2, as I mentioned earlier. Look, it's fine. A2 will be S2. S2 you will have here. Exactly as what we did earlier. The only difference now you have a numbers. When you have a numbers, you can easily get this one as negative 2b. Put it there, negative 2b. Then you add up together, you have this one. This one already calculated. Look at the next one. How do you get this one? Okay. This one is no big deal, isn't it? This one is done earlier. Chain rule equation. You pull all the numbers, you'll be getting this one. Okay, then you put it here. Then A minus 1R. So this is now the challenge. Look at here. Now if A2 is log, what does it mean? It means that NA2 equal to 0 is equal to, look at A2, A plus B. Am I correct or not? Yes or no? This one. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, now given, what does it given? It provides us Ni is equal to 2100. is equal to, look at NI, positive A. So you solve this one, you get what is A, you get what is B. But the question asks you what? NO. So NO is equal to, look at O, is A plus or B. So you have this one, you have this one, put it here, then you have a numbers. How do you get the equation? From that equation. You get me or not? You have the result. Yeah? If now, if, yes.
This one is
Any
for
question?
this one is for common arm, right? This one.
Yes, common arm for common. We're still talking about common arm.
Okay.
Okay, but if A1 is locked, you don't have to build any more what? You don't have to build any more table. So if A1 is locked, put it there, and A1 is equal to 0 is equal to, look at A1. What is A1? Is A minus 2B.
Minus two.
You have A minus 2B. But yet given, remember just now given and I is still running with 2100 is equal to A. You will be getting another A and another B, a new parameter, isn't it? Then NO is equal to A plus 4B. You get what I mean? What I'm trying to say here? To ease your what solution. If supposedly the question keep asking you now, let if put another color so that you can understand, yeah. So let's say the question keep asking you now, if let's say S1 is locked, is locked. You don't have to build another table. What you have to do is NS1 is equal to 0. When long equal to 0 is equal to, go back to S1. S1 is equal to A plus 4B. Okay, A plus 4B. And yet NI is equal to 2100 is equal to A. You get another A and B. Then you get the result. This one is supposingly, yeah. So this one is to help you out when you have so many gates to be locked in the equation. So you have to avoid constructing many tables. So that is the conclusion. So from today onward, I'm going to explain to you or expose to you building as a building or using the independent what call it spade, yeah, or which is free order gear, instead of keep building the tables. But if you read book, yeah, typically book from any other book, they provide you so many table. But it is correct. I'm not saying it's not wrong. Yeah, it is correct. I'm not saying it is wrong. Yeah, it is correct. But it's a waste of time when you keep building table when you can solve by using equation. Okay. Any question? Okay, thank you. So I'm going to move now. Scale this one, yeah. Okay, this one method. I'm going to explain a bit. Only table number 3. Look at table number 3. Sorry, method number 3. This one is different. Look at here. Whole L1, but now you give gear A1. Just now all you give one A2. You give A2, correct? The other part also you give A2. Now you give A1. Remember I did mention you can what? You can have many solution. Now, so this one is different. I want you to focus. Okay, now this one is no change. Give positive A, positive A, positive A, positive A. Whole arm L1, this one becoming 0. And you give A1 positive B, A1 positive B. Okay, this one is your challenge. How do you get this one? Okay, now, first what you have is A1. Look for a friend of A1 is S1. S1, this one shouldn't be any problem. It's a small deal. Isn't it? Small deal. You make it in the results. Very quick one, the results. This one is something else. Okay, now, class, focus this one, yeah? Okay, I'm going to share with you another solution. Okay, this is A2. This one is A1. Look at here. We have an A2 by, perhaps I can clear this thing so that I have a space to write. Yeah, you have Na2 divided by Na1 is equal to, remember, Ta2 divided by unknown multiply unknown. This one is Na1. Okay, then you keep putting numbers expression of them. This one you have what? You have NS1. Right. This one you have NS2. Is it? NS1 and NS2. Am I correct? And then you check. You check. You find out that NS2 is not equal to NS1. How do you know? You go back to here. S1 is here. S2 is here. So it's not belong to the same body. You go back to the figure. Go back to the figure. If I can clean up everything here, you go back to the figure. You found that S1 is here. S2 is here. So that is S1 is not equal to NS. Then you are in trouble, isn't it? If you don't understand, you are in trouble. So the chain rule equation cannot be used. Okay, chain rule equation cannot be used. So how do you know? How are you going to solve this one? Okay, this is not very careful. Eh? You have Na2 divided by Na1, isn't it? But if you look at the what do you call it, the gear, look at the gear, A1 is also part of S, correct? So you meaning to say that Na1 must be equal to NS in term of what? In term of speed. So you go back to the equation now, equal to Na2 by NS. You understand me or not? You understand me or not, class? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? Then Na2 is equal to this one, convert it to become number of TS2 by Ta2. Not to forget the negative. Bring this one up, Na1. But this Na1 is positively, so you will have positive. You don't worry, you have the solution with you here. That one. I also put the reason why. So inshallah, if you read my note, you buy the book from my daughter, you found that this one will help you, solving the problem. Yeah. Then you put this one in the equation. Then it will be given this one. Okay. Remember, you don't have to memorize the whole thing. What you need to memorize is one thing. Yeah. Log whole arm, log any gear. This was so many times I mentioned. Any gear attached to planet or isn't it? Because A1 and S1 is connected to the arm, correct? Then you can also free the gear. When you want to free, two-speed mounted. So that is the only, I think, that these three, if you can understand this one, you can solve every single question of these topics. Okay, let us now move to this one. This one, yeah, compound gear train with independent arm. I don't want to start with this one. This one is, it's not very difficult, but because you have both are virtual arms. So we start with one virtual, one actual. Is easier, isn't it? So let's start with this one. If I start this one and want you get into trouble, just start with this one. Example 10. Remember that I left example 9. So later on we come back. We will try to solve example 9. We start with example 10 first. So as usual, I'm going to follow as what you have in your books. So this one is something else. This one is part of the exam equation. Look at here. Look at here, class. So here you have compound gear train with auxiliary gear. So what is the auxiliary gear? I did mention in my lecture earlier. The auxiliary gear is the gear attached to annulus or sun. Attached to annulus. Attached to annulus 1 and 2 respectively. So this one is the auxiliary gear, which is not part of epicyclic gear. So you cannot put O2, N, and M and K in your table. So this one will not in the tables. The minute you put this one in table, you get wrong, 0 marks, because you basically do not understand what is the epicyclic gear. Remember the epicyclic gear? The last gear will be annulus. The inner gear will be sun. Okay. Why they provide this one? Because they want to give you O, for example, or M, for example, because you want to find A2. So that is the reasons, yeah. So now, you have the input shaft I, K, and 2 output O1 and also O2. Okay. Gear N mesh with external gear 1, this one. When you have the 2 meshing gear here, remember, yeah, when the 2 meshing gear here, you have the external connection, This one is the external T. This one is external T. This one be the internal, this one be the internal, this one is the internal, this one is the in. So there was the mention about here, external gear A1, match the external gear A2. Then input shaft I and K are both rotating with the speed of 1000 and 1008. This one is I will be 1002. This one is 1008. Two speed now are given, isn't it? If you check that the table, the speed, the data, they provide you two speed now. So determine the speed for both output O1 and O2. So this one is 1. This one also is 1. Given blah blah blah. The question doesn't mention anything about locking in a gear, isn't it? So table 2, you have to free on the gear. Remember that. Table 2, you cannot lock the gear. I did mention here in my solution, yeah. Okay. Before we do this one, make a correction as I gave you earlier in one, data, isn't it? The correction will be, this one is not, this one, yeah, not A1, I1 and I2. This one is NK and also NI, yeah. Check your notes, yeah. This one is the latest version. Okay, now, so first is what? Now you tell me, what do we have here? What we have here is one, what? We have one, we have one actual, one virtual. Okay. So we're going to start with for table 1. For table 1, twin 1, isn't it? Twin 1. Table 1, twin 1. You cut it. This one. We are going to focus this one as twin or table number 1. Because the actual line this one. Now you keep asking me, can we start with A2? Yes, you can start with A2, but you'll be getting, it's not very difficult. Yeah, you will face problems. You face a bit of problems. It's a bit difficult, sir. It's not very difficult, a bit difficult. This is the easiest way. As I did so many examples, I found that by looking or by using the actual it's easiest compared to you try with train number 2. Okay, now, of course, when you select train 1, there must be a reason, isn't it? So now I'm going to focus on train number 1. So if I do that, I'm going to sound on page a bit more, yeah, before we end our this one. I need the figure. Okay, how do you select the figure? Focus train number 1. What you have is O1A. You put it here, O1A. Sorry, O1A1. O1 L1. This one L1. This one L2, isn't it? L2. How do you know? Because this one attached to this one. So O1, L1. That's how we are. O1, L1. O1, L1, isn't it? You move next. You have A1, A1. Stop here because we already cut this one. So A1 will remain as 1. A1 will remain as A1. Then you go to the next gear, which is S1. But even though you cut this one into 2 parts, I will be still I. This one, this shaft, the long shaft is also I. If you don't put I, doesn't matter, yeah? It doesn't matter. Yeah? So you this one S1 and I, or S1 alone, doesn't matter. You can put S1 and I or S1 alone, doesn't matter. Okay? If you put S1 and I, it means that you really understand. Then when you log A1, you can also log what just now? You can also log S1. I prefer to log A1. This is my choice. I'm going to log A1. The minute I say that I log A1, so end A1 becoming 0. This one because you log A1. Okay, now give 1, 1, 1. Hold L1. Give A1 negative 1. This one 1. You add up together, this one 0. This is correct. So this is your problems now. How is it? Look at here. You have NS1 by NS1 by A1 by A1 and A1 is equal to TA1 by TS1. Not to forget the negative. Isn't it? This one, same thing, yeah? Then you bring this one up. You bring this one up to that part. Then you'll be getting as this one. Put in the numbers, the value. You'll be getting 75, 25 is 3, positive, positive 3, 1 plus P, you get 4. The result from the table number 1 is this one. So that will be the results. It's not difficult, isn't it? It's not very difficult, yeah? Then whole twin. Okay, whole twin. Whole twin, I'm going to clean up this one. What is the whole twin? The extension. What is the extension? Look at it very careful. This one, yeah? O1 and L1. One body. Right? Then S1, S2, I, one body. Let me differentiate. This one, box, box, box. This one, A1. This one is L2. One body. You go back here. Look at here. 1, A1, S2, S1, S2. Finally, you have A1. A2, sorry, A2. A2 will be remain as A2. That is how to categorize or selecting the gear. So the question doesn't tell about locking any part of the gear. So you need to let the gear running freely. Then you already hold L1 just now, isn't it? So you cannot hold L1 anymore. It's already hold L1. You need to hold the second arm of the train. What is second arm? Is the L2. So hold L2. First give all A1 of A, hold L2, hold L2, this one becomes 0, and give S2, sorry, A2. You can also give here S2, right? You can also give S2, you can try on your own. But now I'm going to S2. I have a choice to choose A2 or S2. So now I give A2, give A2 positive. You add up together this one and this one. Then is how to start. Because you have 2 columns. Look at it very careful. Look at it very careful. You have give A2. You start with what? You have A2, you start with? You start with?
Sorry,
You start with what?
A2, A plus B
You give A2, you start with?
plus
S2.
oh,
Then you will have this one. Correct. But remember, yeah, NS2 NA2, negative TA2 and TS2. You go back to the figure, you found that TA2 and TS2, you have the internal and external. Look at here, this one. Look at the A2. A2 here is internal. This one is the external. So take the internal. That is why you have the internal here, internalities. You simplify this one, you'll be getting as such, you have this one. This is the challenging part. Look at it very careful. I'm going to write here. I'm going to write down here. We have a couple of minutes before we end our session. Yeah. Okay. You have NL1 and L1 divided by Na2 Na2 is equal to NL1 by unknown multiplied by unknown. This one will be Na. So the unknown parameter is basically selecting from this one. Obviously is NS2. This one you cannot put NL2. You have to select from where? From where this one? From where?
Table 1.
Table 1. You go back to table number 1. Table number 1 you have what? N L1 and N S1. Put it here. N L1 and S1. N S1. Then you check valid if NS2 is equal to NS1. Then you check. Yes, it is because it belongs to the same column. You go back to the figure. Yes, it is because it's also carried by the ion. Correct? Then it is correct. Then you can proceed. You can proceed by considering this one. Okay, class, yeah? You have NL1 is equal to this one from table number 1. You just simply blindly taken from table 1, which is 1 by 4. Take this one 1 by 4. 1 by 4. Multiply by this one is Ta2, Ts2. Don't forget negative. This one is Na. This one is one positive B. Okay? So I give you a shortcut way. Listen up very careful. A shortcut way. This one from table number. From table number what just now?
1.
Table number 1. This one, yeah, table number 1. Remember, this one you don't have to do basically. You select from this one. Equal to 1 by 4 multiplied by 3. But if you are not sure, you can do this one again. But if you are very confident, you just can take this one, put it in the equation. This one save couple of minutes, yeah, before you keep thinking on doing the another time.
Sebab dia dah
If you're not sure, do it another time. Doesn't matter. Okay, because if you check this one, it's basically same as what you have this one, isn't it? Okay, then you will have a result. You put this one. So I'll stop here. Remind me, we stop at page 66, because we are now exactly at 9:50. You have to join another class, so we stop here. When we meet again, inshallah, I'm going to solve this one part by part. We also solve another question in the past exam and also test. So any question before we end our class today? Any question? And
Doctor,
really hope that you enjoy. Yes.
I have a question from the problem in vehicle dynamics.
Vehicle dynamics. So what is that? What is the problem for vehicle dynamics?
This is from problem 40.
Okay.
Yeah, because it said that the engine running at uniform speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But after that, it asks us to find the maximum acceleration.
Okay. So what the problem is?
So I don't quite understand that, because if it is running at uniform speed, that means that the acceleration is 0.
Number is that? Number 30?
40.
Which number is that?
Problem number 40.
calculate the value and give the maximum as up to okay. You look at very carefully, yeah. So it does mention about you reach maximum torque, so it must be reaches the uniform speed, isn't it? As mentioned earlier, yeah. But you have to understand that, you know, calculate the value of the gear ratio that will give maximum acceleration. What do you have when you have maximum acceleration? When you reach maximum acceleration, what do you have? So there is no changes in acceleration anymore, isn't it?
Yes.
Correct or not? When you reach the maximum acceleration, so there is no changes in the acceleration. Am I correct or not?
Yes,
Yes,
doctor.
doctor.
So there is no acceleration, isn't it? The question asks you what will be the gear ratio then? Okay, you are not going to reach the.
Okay,
You're not
okay,
going to
doctor.
reach.
Understand.
Okay, you have to read the question very carefully. Yeah, sometimes it's talking about the maximum torque. It's also part of the constant speed. We are talking about maximum acceleration. When you reach maximum acceleration, okay, when you throw things, yeah, you throw ball in air, for example. When the ball will reach maximum acceleration, what will happen to the ball? It will come back to the ground, isn't it? Otherwise,
Yes,
you keep
doctor.
climbing. Am I correct or not?
Yes, doctor.
So any other equation?
No, doctor. So the acceleration will still be 0. So we will just need to find the ratio.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, doctor.
Okay. So if there's no problem, so I would like to end my session today. So thank you for being with me. Thank you for attending and also responding my class here. Hope you really enjoy the class. So with that, I see you again inshallah next lecture. So with that, I end my session with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Happy weekend, even though this is not weekend for us actually as a student. So stay safe and stay healthy. So inshallah seeing you again in my next lecture inshallah tomorrow. Thank you, class.